And he said, I am an intuit. And I was like, what? And he goes, are you ready to trust your intuition? Are you ready to say, I am an intuit? And my stomach tied in knots. And you know that, like, you kind of feel like you're gonna vomit feeling? Because I was like, now I need to say my truth. And he's right. And so many of us, I mean, all of us have strong intuition, but so many of us don't trust it. And for the work that I do, my intuition is a big piece of what guides me and helps me put things together for clients, and having the courage to go, you've been saying this, but hold on a minute. There's these two things you keep talking about. In the back of my head sometimes it's like, Karley, this is going to sound crazy, but you have to trust it. Okay, you keep hearing you say these two things. Tell me why they matter. Tell me why. Follow-ups are key and critical. And the thing I hear most from people is, oh, I don't want to bug them. I mean, I think that's a Canadian thing too, is, I don't want to bug them. I don't, no, people get busy. And I know there have been people where I've even gotten into the, okay, I'm being ridiculous. Like, I'm following up. And the most common thing I get from folks when we re-engage, if they do re-engage, is, thank you so much for being persistent. Right? I got busy. Something happened. There's a host of things that go on in people's lives that we have no view into. But follow up. I did it today, and also extracting what makes someone tick, what drives them to do a certain thing, what makes them great at doing a certain thing. And then also when we consider their business, whether they be a solo consultant with their own IP and ways of doing things, or whether they be a team of 10 or 20 or even larger, what's the magic? What makes them different? And I'm very lucky because, as I said, I work with those who are passionate, who are pushing beyond the status quo. They're not happy just being an accounting firm. They're not happy just being an engineering firm, right? So these are the people who are out front inventing and doing new things. And so naturally, they're creating new things in their own way. They're creating their own magic that does something better or improves things for people. And it's such a progressive process, an iterative process to get that system, process, product to work.
Welcome to Pathfinders. Today we are going to speak to a very special guest, Karley Cunningham. Karley, let me please introduce you properly. Today on the show, we are joined by a powerhouse in the world of business growth strategy, someone who doesn't just help companies grow, but helps founders grow into the leaders their future demands. I'm excited to welcome Karley Cunningham to Pathfinders podcast, founder of Big Bold Brand. I have to show the website very soon. A strategic brand marketing firm that focuses on delivering the clarity you seek. He's a strategic growth architect, keynote speaker, and the creator of SureFire method. Karley is on a mission to help visionary founders compress time, turning 5-year growth goals into 2 to 3 year achievement with precision, clarity, and alignment. Beautiful, isn't it? With a signature growth operating system, Karley helps founders escape one of the most dangerous traps in business, becoming their own bottleneck. She shows them how to codify what makes their business extraordinary, align their teams under a shared language, and lead with confidence instead of chaos. Karley is the expert you need in your corner. She works at the intersection of business clarity and brand leadership, turning what most view as marketing into a leadership system that guides every strategic decision across the organization. Whether you're a founder protecting your business's soul or a leadership team craving alignment, Karley brings you a roadmap to scalable certainty. Get ready to rethink growth, reclaim clarity, and reignite alignment. Karley Cunningham, welcome to Pathfinders podcast. It's an absolute honor to sit down with you today.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. Let's do this.
Yeah. Can you please talk about your journey in your own words, please? Tell us, what was it like? What was your journey like in your own words?
Where do you want me to start? Let's pick the start and the end point would be now.
If you have to give like a 2-minute snapshot, what would it be?
2-minute snapshot. Okay, under the clock. Here we go. So
take 4. No problem.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So interesting. Let me go this way. So different interests can guide our way. Different passions can guide our way. And, we're often faced with these right and these left turns. And so for me, I've always had this interesting balance between a very creative brain and I think layered onto that as I became an athlete. So as a child, I was very creative. If I grew up in the age of glue with sparkles in it, like we still had to, I'm so old, we had to glue and then dump sparkles on it. But now apparently there's sparkle glue. I would have had all the sparkle colors. Creative, always doing, always drawing, always creating. And then to also, I think, probably manage my high level of energy. My parents put me into sport. And so sport for me very much brought structure. So I very much oscillate today between creativity and structure, and the two, I'm very lucky, balance each other out because there's sometimes a whole lot that goes on up here for me. And for those who can't see the video, I'm pointing to my head. So in that, life has taken this interesting series of, okay, well, what do you want to do with your life? I went into graphic design and advertising in school. And then to augment the load, once I got into the creative industry, I was always involved in sport. And then I took up mountain biking. What brought me to the west coast of Canada was I was seeking to improve my national Canadian ranking. So I moved out here. I brought my computer, and I was a freelancer. I was a freelance graphic designer. I did web design. Back in the day, I did Flash. So building early applications of animation to create explanations, client diagrams, things that taught people how to do things. And so that interest in creativity always led me to the next. And then when I got out here, the intention was to improve my Canadian standing and continue to move up the rankings as a cross-country mountain biker. I burnt out with adrenal fatigue. And so then it was, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And I didn't want to leave. I mean, if you've been to the west coast of Canada, I'm in North Vancouver. It is just such a stunningly beautiful place. And as a mountain biker, I didn't want to leave. And so I learned how to hustle. And I worked for a creative agency part-time. And I also did my own freelance business part-time. Transitioned to, I found a business partner. She did marketing. I did graphic design, creative campaigns. And so our strengths came together really well. We built, I think it was a pretty good, thriving agency back in the time. It wasn't huge. I'm notorious for working with names you've never heard of. But I get to work with really, right? Like names you've never heard of, right? But Yeah, I can throw some names around in my early career, but what was really why I say that is because I became really passionate about working with entrepreneurs and small to mid-sized businesses. And I think it was said earlier today to me, reflected to me from someone else who is passionate about the same thing, and I've never heard it said this way. I became really passionate about working with people who are driven by passion. And so helping small to mid-sized business owners succeed and win, which is very much comes from my sport background. You know, we're not just, it's not an in it to win it, but we're in it to do well. We're in it to push forward, to innovate, to create new things, to create new solutions as entrepreneurs. And so I transitioned from calling myself a creative to an entrepreneur. That's always been a part of my path as well. So ended up going through a business divorce with that business partner. We just found that we were no longer aligned to the same values. And then from there, I've built out Big Bold Brand. And it was really in that previous agency and where my path has brought me that I became really passionate about brand and what it can do for businesses. And I'm in another evolution right now. One more piece to the puzzle is I've discovered that brand, I knew it could do so much more than just be what most think it is: logos, visual identity, messaging, brand story. I'm now finding that business and brand strategy are really the keys to creating consistent and fast-tracking growth in a business. And so that's where I'm at today.
Right. No, very, very interesting, Byron. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Speaking of Big Bold Brand,
Yeah.
everyone watching on the video format, we are sharing the website. It's a beautiful website. It's called the bigboldbrand.com. Go check it out. If you're hearing on the audio, go check it out. It's an amazing website. It talks all about what Karley does. She's the founder, strategist, and a lot of cool information on the website. So go check out bigboldbrand.com. I just want to bring it up. Normally we didn't do that, but I really like the site, and it was simple and neat. It conveyed the message. So I just want to give a shout out to your website. It's really well done. Bigboldbrand.com. Walk us through the situation where you thought, okay, fine, branding. Like when did that notion kick in your head? Okay, now I have to focus on branding. What was that like? Because I know you were trying to, I don't know what's the right word. Maybe you're trying to figure out a lot of stuff, and at some point you felt, no, I have to focus on brand strategy. When did that come?
Where did it come from? I think because I've always been a problem solver. And I like tough problems. Extracting what makes someone tick, what drives them to do a certain thing, what makes them great at doing a certain thing. And then also when we consider their business, whether they be a solo consultant with their own IP and ways of doing things, or whether they be a team of 10 or 20 or even larger, what's the magic? What makes them different? And I'm very lucky because, as I said, I work with those who are passionate, who are pushing beyond the status quo. They're not happy just being an accounting firm. They're not happy just being an engineering firm, right? So these are the people who are out front inventing and doing new things. And so naturally, they're creating new things in their own way. They're creating their own magic that does something better or improves things for people. And it's such a progressive process, an iterative process to get that system, process, product to work. It just becomes so familiar. They often forget, well, what were the few magic steps, if you will? And I know magic sounds a little fluffy, but what are those key turning points? What is the linchpin, or what is the cornerstone of this model and methodology? And we get so close to what it is that we do. It's my job to extract it and help explain it. And often that's trapped. A lot of that is trapped for a business in the visionary's head. And so they talk about it, and people pick it up as verbal knowledge, or as this is how we make people feel. Some people would call it tribal knowledge. We pass it on through story, through communication, but it's not actually written down. And so a lot of the team is running around blind. So the problems I solve are really about Who are we? What do we do? What makes us different? What is the value we deliver because of how those first three things come together? And who is it that we serve? And getting crystal clear on that gives everyone the ability to understand that they don't always have to go back to the founder. And I think that seeing the brilliance happen, but not seeing it happen consistently, or not having someone know how they do what they do and why they do what they do and why it's so powerful and special, was really what I became interested in. Let's extract it. Let's codify it.
Right. We're going to touch upon different topics today. We are just warming up into a conversation. Like I saw something on your profile, so that said like strategic. Correct me if I'm wrong. It said like strategic growth architect.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to a business owner? Even before entering that question, I had a podcast guest. He helps with fundraising and stuff. Like he helps founders raise funds, right? So that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how the marketing and the agencies pitch themselves. We are not just another marketing agency, but we are this, and this. We are not just another consulting company, but we are this, and this. I mean, the moment they say just, you're lost. Like I couldn't stop laughing. Because there is so much truth to what he was saying. Because like I get it, right? I mean, he was constantly pinning example after example, but there is truth to it. But the play is different. I mean, what you're talking about in terms of like brand definition, in terms of strategy, in terms of how you architect it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? I mean, like let's say I am not a brand expert by any means, Karley. I'm learning it. I'm not a business expert at all. I'm not a podcaster at all. I'm learning all of this as I'm doing it. I can only learn it when I'm doing it. That's my way of learning, actually. But like, tell us, like, how do you do that architecture or like strategic growth architecture? What does that mean for a business owner?
What that means is they've hit a point in their business where they're finding that clarity is getting blurry. And it's usually at the point in the business evolution, they've got a great product or service. They're getting referred. They're getting lots of business because that core of the business, the thing that earns the money, is doing really well. That's what they've been focusing on for so long. And that point happens at different timelines for different businesses. But there comes a point when that does so well that they have to add other people. And they have to grow. And so when that happens, it becomes about talking about who the business is, not just what the product or service is that we sell. And so when we move into that territory, that's when it's really key and critical to get what makes the company special and what the founder brings to the table and what makes them brilliant, and getting those pieces out of their head to build a toolkit that is going to get them from here to there. So that's the branding piece. That's the getting clear on what our business strategy is and what our brand strategy is in the way that is unique to us, right? The architecting piece really is part of the foundation to say, are we still doing the same business or offering the same service we were offering? Because often as they grow, a client will say, so you've done this for us. Can you also do this? And as entrepreneurs, we're always up for a challenge. So we're like, yeah, I can do that. And then all of a sudden there's this new service. That worked really well. Well, maybe we can sell that to some of our other clients. So that goes. And then another client goes, well, hey, if you can do that and that, can you do this? And so they're tagging on adjacent supplementary services. And then all of a sudden they get to a point and go, oh, geez, well, we're not that simple service-oriented company anymore.
Right.
So what do we actually, that not just that, we started as a simple accounting firm doing tax returns, and now we do this, this, and this. So are we still a simple accounting firm? No, we're not. Right. And so figuring that out. So that's one of the points where we get into, okay, so what's changed in the business? Let's figure that out. Or I was going to go somewhere. I'm going to back up on that. But what I was going to say is, okay, so now they've started here, they're here, and they've got this Frankenstein business. So we're architecting that out. What does that mean to them? What does that mean to their clients? How has their value changed? But they know that they're not done yet, and they want to go here because they see a huge opportunity ahead of them. So what are we building in the toolkit with the SureFire method, because what it builds is a set of tools. What are we building in the toolkit that's going to help get them there? Well, one of those pieces is their 3 to 5 year vision. One of those pieces, if they don't understand it, is, well, what's our purpose overall? And do we need to shed any of these products or services that no longer fit who we are now and where we want to go? And so we're essentially pulling the company apart, and then we're putting it back together in a way that makes sense for where they want to go. So that's really what the architecture piece is about, because nobody ever said, things are going along great, we're attracting the clients we want, let's do a rebrand for the sake of a rebrand, right?
Yeah.
They go, we're experiencing some kind of pain, which can often be that founder bottleneck, because they've got all the knowledge in their head. It can be we're no longer who we were, so who are we now, and how do we explain that? Because we're all get it, but we can't explain it. So architecting is helping them sort it all out and put the puzzle piece back together in a way that makes sense.
Got it. I mean, I saw like a trademark that you have for like the SureFire method.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I don't want to
you're bang on
what it is, but you're definitely about to get fired. And I don't want to. That's not what it'll be. I was just kidding. But like, tell us what is the SureFire method? Your trademark it. I'm sure there's a lot of like science or maybe a lot of like analogy behind it.
It's the codified way in which I help companies re-architect. So I help them get clear on the business aspects of their strategy. So sometimes that has to do with rejigging their business model. Sometimes that has to do with figuring out, are we going to merge with this other company we've bought, or are we just going to run 2 companies under our numbered incorporation? So we get that foundation of, we need to make sure we're stable on the revenue front from a perspective of, are we selling the right services to the people we serve? Then we move up and get into the business strategy elements. What is our purpose for existing beyond making a profit? What are our values? I call them guiding principles. Where are we headed? 3 to 5 year vision. And who are we? How do we make people feel? What's the character of this organization that we call X, Y, or Z, right? Then that transitions. That's very much in those business strategy elements. That's very much the brain and the internal part of the company. But then it's the key question is, well, who do we serve? What are the problems we solve for the people we serve? Who are our right fit clients? And once we dig into that then leads us into that transition where the brand strategy elements or tools come into play. We get clear on their story. We get clear on what their value proposition, what sets them apart, benefits, differentiators, the unique value they deliver. And we bring all of that. So those are all the narrative pieces that we call brand. But what we also do is make sure that brand moves up. When we're talking about the company brand, it moves up into the leadership house. Because your junior marketing manager or your external, and no shade, but your external CMO should not be building your company's brand. If for nothing else, because the owner is so driven by passion, so driven by stepping beyond the status quo or solving the wicked problem in the world. And so the SureFire method is really about taking out what I was saying, that brilliance, what makes them extraordinary, codifying it into a set of tools, which I call, some people, they used to call them brand elements, but I find it gets stuck back in marketing again. And then it gets handed off to them. Oh, marketing's now in charge of that. No.
Right.
This is an operating system. This is how you align everyone and everything with this toolkit that the SureFire method produces.
Yeah. I was speaking to a marketing, Michelle, it's on Pathfinders. She's also a marketing expert, and she was sharing something in marketing. The teams are like an atmosphere of the company. Should be connected to all forms of the business and all phases of the business. And that is something she shared. I found it profound because like I never thought of it that way. Oh no, you're marketing it. You're putting stuff about the company. You're creating a brand new logo with a different color. No, but she said like it's an ecosystem that you're building that it's like all dots of your company should connect with the marketing, so that you'll be able to connect the dots and see that every message that you put out, every post that you post, like every page that you create in your website, it's all connected with the same theme of marketing.
Yeah. And
How do you
let's
see-
take that one step further. Let me connect those dots even more. Michelle and I would get along famously just by your explanation of what she believes. So let's take that one step further. I believe that brand is not marketing. They are two separate disciplines. So they're like yin and yang, right? Marketing's job is to, exactly what you're saying, put messages out there and see if they land. In a really simple term, we have this for sale. Do you want to buy it? Yes or no? Right? We get data back. We know if this type of sale is working or this type of product is of interest. So marketing is really about defining and figuring out your market by the marketing actions that you take. Branding is about, love him or hate him, Jeff Bezos. That's my favorite definition of brand in a context that says your brand is what people say about you, in brackets, or your business when you're not in the room. So that really, right? That's a little disconcerting for some business owners, but that's really about your reputation and it's about your exposure. So when I describe brand and leverage off that quote, it's your brand is your reputation times your exposure. And so similar to what Michelle was saying, it's not just about the messages that are going out, it's about the client experience. It's about when finance calls someone because there's an overdue invoice. Are they still delivering on your brand promise and the way you commit to making people feel? Or are they just hounding people for money and making them feel crappy? Because after you've spent a year and a half courting your ideal client, you've spent 2 years serving them, and let's say they hit a bumpy road or your invoice just ended up in the wrong folder, that one interaction can destroy the relationship. It can destroy your reputation and it can destroy that client relationship and they just go away. So brand is really all of the touch points. But beyond putting it out into the world, what about your employees? What about your strategic partners? What about the people that are inside your internal ecosystem who may never buy anything from you, but how are you making them feel? What is the culture of the company? And so all of these things start to tie together, but knowing what your values are and how we are expected to act as an employee, knowing how you're supposed to, what the promise is and experiences you're supposed to deliver. But it's also equally important that you are experiencing the company that way. Think about Glassdoor. How often have we heard about really great brands, meaning the company's reputation and exposure in the outside world, and then you go on to Glassdoor because you think, wow, I'd really love to work there. What a dynamic company. And then you find out they're terrible on the inside. Kind of like when you buy the fruit in the grocery store and it just looks so good and you cut it open at home and it's rotten inside. Branding is how you develop that reputation.
I mean, thank God you brought Glassdoor, because I've spent a lot of time corporate, for good or bad. But if the corporate is not doing well, especially the Glassdoor is kind of like a quote unquote like problemish, especially for the bigger corporations. That's what I found, because for the smaller companies seem to find, oh yeah, hey Mark, let's have an one-on-one conversation. Hey Kelly, let's have an one-on-one conversation. Let's figure it out. You have a problem, let's figure it out. Let's go for a lunch together. Let's go for a coffee together. Let's figure it out, right? The big corporations seem to not. It's not that I think they are out of control. One, because when they're the size of an ant, they're extremely manageable, controllable. When they grow to the size of an elephant, they're just not unmanageable. And things like Glassdoor and a few other sites like Payscale, and they expose the not so good parts of the company. Often within those big corporations, I see that there's a constant push for, I have to climb the ladder, and there's a constant push for it's that internal fight, right? That goes on.
Mm-hmm.
How do big corporations address that? I mean, do you have any thoughts? Because I've always wondered, oh no, they lost it.
No, I would agree with you. I mean, one of the reasons I choose not to work with big corporations is because I don't get to make the impact that I want to make. I don't get to help a group of people passionate about something step beyond the status quo or make a difference in the world or create something great that we need or help save the planet. I could help a department, but if they're not aligned or not communicating well with the next department, it's all moot point. I mean, yes, I would still be doing good work for the humans in that department, but effectively I want the work that I do to ripple out into the world. And that in small to mid-sized businesses, that's where I can make the most difference, because the network is tight enough and these people spend enough time together. There's not a lot of space to have a bad egg or to put up with bad behavior, right? It's like living in a tiny home. You can only tolerate so much. But in a big corporation, people are focused on their role and their specific outputs. And as long as they keep their head down and do it, then they're just a cog in the machine.
Yeah. Right. No, I absolutely agree with you. Some part during the conversation, I try to take a tangent and probably paint the picture of like your life story and your journey overall. I know we spoke about Karley Cunningham in the introduction and whatnot. If you don't mind, like painting a picture of like who is Karley Cunningham? Like when did like how was your? I mean, we spoke about branding and marketing, and so just to take a few steps back from all of that work stuff, and get back to Karley Cunningham. Who is Karley? How was her childhood like? Did you always live in northern Vancouver or northern BC? Sorry. How was that whole earlier childhood and the journey like for you?
Oh, wow.
If you can paint a picture for us.
I am very aware of my privilege as a white woman, as a invisible minority. So I'm a member of the LGBTQ. Well, I'm saying it in the American way. Let me say it in the Canadian way. The 2S LGBTQI+ community. And so I lived in an interesting place of dualities my whole life. So as I mentioned, I was creative and an artist, and I was an athlete. I was a high-performing athlete. Those are two very different aspects of one's life. And I mean, along with my privilege comes with two parents who were public servants who pretty much gave my sisters and I all that we wanted. Yeah, I was the kid that, well, I mean, I was a teenager, but I got a pony, which was a horse. But, I will put my own credit in. I worked in the barn and I earned the money and I, contributed and I bought the horse myself. But, I was given the opportunities to find the things that I loved. I was put in sport very early, as I mentioned. So I was a figure skater when I was little, and I did that until I was 12. And I probably could have gone on because I'd been selected very early to be a Paris figure skater and to be, I hate using the word groomed, but it's the only word I can think of, but to be trained to be one of the next top Paris figure skaters in the world. The only thing that really changed for me was I looked around at the rest of the kids and went, wow, those that are skating in Canadians and skating in Worlds, they're not really getting a great education, because homeschooling wasn't really a thing back then. That was being done, but it wasn't structured like it is now. So, they were traveling the world, and if they were in college, they were missing out on classes, and it was taking them longer to get their degrees. And a lot of them were coming off their skating careers and becoming coaches. Well, I didn't want to be in an arena my whole life. And so I made the decision that that's not what I wanted to do. And my parents said, well, what do you want to, is there something you'd like to try next? And so I tried horseback riding, fell in love with it. I mean, I've always loved animals. There's always one close by me. And sometimes they even come to work with me. Our little black and white furry Oreo, little border collie-ish cross is the recent one. And so, as I said, I just got to try and do so many different things. I think that's all been driven by an innate sense of curiosity, but it was always fed. So I'm very, very lucky.
Right.
Then after college, I was missing sport because college was very intense. I was in the graphic design and advertising program, and, we would spend very late nights with very crazy deadlines. It'd be 1 a.m, and ours would be the only classroom with a light on, and security knew that we were allowed to be there because of just the way the program was. So I came out of that. I ended up buying a mountain bike. So I was looking for something else to do and fell in love with that. And, having a grandfather who is very athletically gifted, I think I got those genes from him. And so somebody goes, you're really good. You should try a race. And I tried a race, and that was it. I was hooked. Because again, back into the structure of performance, right? Which is what I'd been trained to do since I was little with the figure skating. And so I found my place there. I raced on Canada's only all-women's national mountain bike team, achieved a pretty good Canadian ranking. And as you heard me say in the intro, I moved out. That's what brought me out to British Columbia. So I grew up in Kitchener-Waterloo region in Ontario, in Cambridge. And honestly, my family's very, very tight. I didn't think I would ever end up leaving. And I just knew that I needed to come west. This is where the mountains are. This is what mountain biking is about. And burnt out with adrenal fatigue and decided not to leave. And ultimately, my journey's really been about transitioning mountain biking to be my extracurricular, have fun activity, which I know some people think I'm absolutely nuts. Yes, I lock myself to 2 pedals and I point downhill and go as fast as I can. Some people think that's crazy. I think it's fun. And then focusing on business. Again, driven by people who are driven by passion.
Right. Let me understand how much of your athletic work that you did with figure skating and mountain biking kind of helps in the way we structure our life in terms of how we think, how we operate. I mean, being physically active to be like quote unquote, right? And I think that kind of plays a role in having a clear-headed approach to certain
100%.
things, right? Let's say you're going for a heavy meeting Monday morning. Let's say you go for a bike probably on Sunday or the early morning. It kind of like resets. You speak better, you show up better, you're like more like cheerful and whatnot, right? So do you see that playing a role
100%.
in your...
Yeah. High stress environments require an output in some other way. You can't just keep working. And I think for me, absolutely what you're saying. I'm calmer, I'm happier, I'm just a better human. I think part of that has to do with the science of being in the forest. And, you've heard the different terms, the Japanese forest bathe. There is a whole psychology on fractals, and I'm not going to get into it's science. It's been a study. I think it was a professor at UBC who studied fractals of nature's natural patterns and how that's calming for the brain. Absolutely, that's as far as I can explain it. But yeah, I find that whatever the science is, it works for me. But the other piece of it for me, and being a business owner and someone who is, I've always got 10,000 ideas in my head. It's the structure that I learned from sport and how to build a training program. Remember in the beginning, I was saying how to get from here to here. Well, that's what I've had to do, or that's what people have had to coach me on since I was 6 or 7 years old. And so I'm always finding that I'm looking for the structure. If it's not there, I will create it. And if you Google Karley Cunningham lessons from the trail, you'll probably find some of the videos that I posted, I think it's probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I had created as a fun series to get myself comfortable with being on video. So that's the aspect of practice. Because I didn't, I'm on the trail. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to dress up. I don't have to worry about how I appear. I can just talk to the camera. And so that was a method of practice for me of talking about how the lessons in sport that I learned applied to business. And really, I've read so many business books. I really enjoy them. But my greatest lessons on how to succeed in business have come from what I learned in sport.
Got it. I just searched it. Is it the first link that opened up? Lessons from the trail?
Maybe it's because they're on my YouTube. They would have been, sorry, not my YouTube. They would have been in my LinkedIn. So maybe they're embedded in there. But
no problem. If you give me a link, I'll put it in the podcast. Like people can go and watch it. No, that is so on point, because like it kind of like it's how it coexists, right? I mean, business is not without being like physical fitness, and it's not. They have to go hand in hand, right? I mean, let's say you're not working out for a month, it shows up. Like I mean, you get more frustrated. You're not as a good. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what the right word is. You're not a better person.
Crispy around the edges. It's like just the toast got burnt a little. It just was a little too hot. It's not like black, but it's just a little crispy around the edges. I mean, let's be honest. A few months of just purely working in the business, you go to that big meeting and all of a sudden you're like, why do I feel like a sausage in my new suit? I mean, I don't know about you, but I stress eat. So
Yeah. No, it's too good. I like the phrase sausage in the soup. Okay, nice. So that's right. I mean, your business, it all ties in. And what part of this are the founders struggling with? Are the business owners struggling with? Because like I'm sure they're struggling with a lot, right? Because each type of founder I speak with, they have a different problem. They're in a different genre of like industry, right? The problems are different, but there seems to be an overlapping theme that connects all of this. I'm starting to notice. I'm sure you have noticed too. What do you what do you think? You're laughing. I'm sure you have a ton of stories to tell.
I'm like, wow, where do we start? But I mean, if we're talking overarching theme, most true entrepreneurs, and I say true entrepreneurs because you can. I'll give you an example. You go through a program to become a medical doctor. You naturally, depending upon what stream you take, let's say you take one to be an OBGYN or
Right.
insert title here, you're going to go and you're going to either become a part of a clinic or you're going to open a clinic. It's just the natural path. Then there's the entrepreneurs who leave companies, whether, let's say, because I work with accountants, it's an easy story for me to explain, is I'm an accountant in a big firm and I see a way to do it better, or there's a particular type of person that I like to serve or a particular type of role. And so I really want to do more of that, but there's not the opportunity to do that in the firm. So I go off and start my own because I want to do it better for those people. Right? So you build the firm, you do really well, and then you sell it, and then you get bored, and then you want to solve another problem. I talked to someone exactly like this who was a tech founder early on, and he said, I was very lucky to get bought, transition the company, and then I found myself with, and he said it really interestingly, he said, I found myself with the big weighted problem of having nothing to do. Right? Because for the entrepreneur brain, we're like, okay, well, what's next? What are the next? And so he's now solving the next problem. The thing is we're often, the entrepreneurs are accidental business owners. We see a problem, we want to go solve it. We see an opportunity to create something better, we want to go create it. So many of us come from variant backgrounds that, if we come from a CPA background, of course our finances are going, well, I say of course, but shoemaker's children, we'll set the shoemaker's children aside. But if you're an accountant by training, your books are probably going to be in order. Your marketing, well, that's something I know nothing about. Your branding, oh, that's something I know nothing about. And so we bring our expertise to the company, but there's so many different other things. It's this, I think the biggest problem is this constant journey of learning. If you didn't come out of an HR program, you don't know how to manage people.
Right. I mean, I've read Visionary Leaders book and like autobiographies and so many things. And like one thing that kept repeating itself is like delegate everything.
Oh my gosh.
Delegate as much as possible. Right. Yep. I'm like there are pieces like I want to delegate. I try and delegate. I tried delegating a few things, right? And it did not work out as great. Then it came back to me. I ended up doing it. Like for some of the sales calls, like I tried it. Like there were two girls from Toronto, and they said, okay, they're going to do great, and they were very shy. They wouldn't go to the coffee meetups. They wouldn't go to the networking meet. It doesn't work like that, right? I mean, their perspective was they could do the sales pitch and close it right from the Zoom call or the Google meeting, whatever, right? It just doesn't work like that. Right? You know it, I know it. It just doesn't work like that. If you're not ready to be uncomfortable, not ready to talk to people, it's just not going to work. So it came back to me now. But as much as I understand the portion of like delegate everything, because people, like you mentioned, people come from different background. They come from the HR background. They come from maybe a sales background, maybe different kinds of marketing background, right? So what is your notion of like delegation, and what is your advice in general for the business owners or the founders that you're talking to?
Probably the worst person to ask about this, but
it's like, yeah, just
I need to be fair I'm going to delegate that to you. No, I mean, it's hard, right? When you come from a profession that you've been trained in, to delegate to someone is trusting, unless you've really tightened something else we're not trained in doing is systems. How do you build a system? How do you know the system works? How do you know it's tight enough? How do you know when it's time to hand the system off? But that's the key. If you can build the system and have the patience for the person to follow the bouncing ball and also add their own layer on and coach and mentor them, they're likely to be a success. So I think before the delegation happens, the awareness of how do I do this? And I didn't really become aware of that until I codified the SureFire method. I just did it because intuitively I knew how to do it. And I knew if it didn't go this way, I could pivot that way because I'd done it so many times. And so it was just innate to me. It's like driving, right? If you've ever driven a stick shift, it's just a whole other... I know where fifth gear is by the time I've been driving for a year. And it just becomes, I'm no longer thinking about doing the driving. I'm just getting to the end point. And so not until I codified the SureFire method did I have to think through those nuances of, I do that instinctively, but what am I doing? Whether it's my subconscious or my conscious, what am I thinking as I'm on the move in facilitating this meeting and we hit this point? Or how do I not go, how do I not stray off on a tangent? How do I cut that off before it happens? And so it's really about codification, building those processes, and then testing and measuring them, and then delegating or building them with someone else. One of the smartest things I heard, and I wish I could quote who this was from, but it was the aspect of, maybe you don't need to build the system. You just need to hire someone who's really great at it. And if it's not to deal with your own proprietary IP and the way you do that special service, but it has to do with someone who's doing bookkeeping or someone. It's about bringing them in and having them teach you what they need to do, but also never forgetting to abdicate it. That's what I've seen time and time again is when you just go, well, I'm just going to completely trust you that you can take care of my books. Right. And then all of a sudden you get a surprise 3 years later that they've, mismanaged the books innocently. They've mismanaged the books just because they're not capable, or they've been embezzling. So there is the delegation, but the carefulness comes in not abdicating.
Right. No, fair point. Myself to 10 different.
Yeah.
If I do it on purpose so that I don't want to think. No, I'm not going to think this evening, right? So I do it on purpose. But like coming back to that, different ideas that you come back and like you're trying to make an impact. I think that's what we're all trying to do, right? I mean, what is the kind of impact that I'm sure because you're multifaceted, right? Because there are multiple, you're an athlete, you're a business owner, you're a brand marketer, you do multiple things. So what is the kind of impact that you want to leave back probably 10 years from now, 15 years from now? What is that you're actually trying to do with the business owners? What do you think? What problems should disappear from society? Hey, those are the problems I fixed it. That's an impact I made.
The one that I would love to say that I fixed, but let's be real, I'm not going to be the one who fixes it, but I would love to amplify the SureFire method in a way that makes it accessible to more business owners because I want to help contribute to increasing the success rate. Because the failure rates, why any of us do this, if we look at the stats and we detach our emotions from, the emotions that drive us to take on these crazy feats of starting companies. If we actually just looked at it with a logical brain, we would all go, hell no, I'm going to go work for the government, right? Because the failure rates are so big. I think, it's 50% survive the first 2 years. 50% of those survive the 5-year mark. And then 50% of those survive the 10-year mark. And there might even be another 7, but I'm going to be generous and say if those 3 markers, if we started with 100, that at year 2.5, that goes down to 50. At year 5, that goes down to 25. At year 10, that goes down to 12.5. Those are terrible numbers. And I know that the work that I do, because I've seen it happen, increases the success rate, and it also fast tracks my clients. We're seeing our clients who apply the SureFire tools in their business and teach their team how to use it, which is one of the last actions that I help with, is we're seeing that they're achieving their 5-year goals in 2 to 3 years. So if we can accelerate them and we can increase their success, which we have been doing, then we're contributing to changing that statistic. And if there was any way I could make it accessible to everyone, which is, I know it's part of why I'm writing my book. It's a big driver for me to get this concept of branding. Your company brand is not marketing. It's a leadership activity, and it is a powerful leadership tool when combined with business strategy. If I can get people understanding that and using the tools, that's what's going to make me happy. That's when I know I've left a legacy.
Got it. I mean, let's say someone is setting a goal for 5 years, 10 years, or like, let's say 3 years or 5 years. I want to hit like $10 million sales. I want to hit like $5 million. Like, I'm sure like there are crazy goals and like there are crazy founders that only the paranoid survive, right? I mean, I heard from, I don't know, Andrew Groove. He was a Dell founder. Someone said only the paranoid survive, right? So it's so true. It's so true in a way. I'm not as paranoid, but sometimes I do get paranoid. I can understand that notion of entrepreneurs, right? So what are the repeated problems that you're seeing that why people are not meeting those goals, right? What are the repeated top 2 or 3 things that you want to mention if anyone wants to take away? Hey, stop doing this, like so that you can achieve more of your goals, right? Top 1 or 2 points that you want to bring back. Hey, these are the things that are repeating over and over again. This is the reason that maybe why people are not achieving their goals.
Stop focusing on the money. Stop focusing on the revenue goal.
Right.
And I know that's going to sound counterintuitive.
Right.
But let's look at it this way. Let me tell you a story. So one of my clients, before he became one of my clients, he had been encouraged by his husband to become one of my clients as he was building out the company. One, because he's absolutely brilliant. And his husband knew that brilliance needed to be codified and it needed to be communicated. So the first step is always, okay, so what do you believe? How are you doing this differently? Why should people hire you? So being able to pull together that narrative. But prior to that, he was just so good at what he does and had won so many awards, he had a reputation. So great, he's got the one piece of brand in an aspect of it. He's got a reputation. Fantastic. So he goes out to market, starts his company, and it takes off. And so what he starts chasing is the next step in the revenue goal. Well, he worked in an industry that was greatly affected, worked in the events industry, greatly affected by COVID. So I don't think it was any less, I don't think it was any more, than 2 weeks after the pandemic hit. And the husband called me and said, I really need you to work with him. And I've convinced him that it's time to work with you. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, what's changed? He goes, well, we just lost, because they were partners in the business. We just lost multiple 6 figures in business because nobody's running events right now. So he's lost his way. He's lost the thing that he's chasing, which was the revenue. But the truth of the matter was, the revenue was coming because he was great at what he did. And what I wanted to get out of him was, why are you doing what you're doing? Why? You've produced events for the Olympics. You've produced events for these huge companies where you didn't have to leave. But why did you leave? What did you want to do differently? Why did you want to do it differently? Why is it so important to you? And he went from terrified that he was now irrelevant, that nobody needed him, that the business was done. And in the series of a couple months of working together to get that business and that brand strategy clear, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And he was starting to get calls that were saying, well, hey, we have now had to cancel the in-person event. Is there any way that you can help us do a virtual event? Because we still need to do business. And so the opportunity that we found was that they started taking on digital and virtual events. And then eventually, as things started to open up post-COVID, they were taking on hybrid events because there were still some people who couldn't due to health reasons or didn't want to do in person. And so because we got his mojo back, so to speak, and he was focused on, I need to grow, and now there's this new opportunity, they became one of the premier digital events companies in Canada. Right. And it was all because he wasn't worried about the money anymore, because there wasn't money to worry about. It was about, why am I building this business, and why do I need to, pull my socks up and build for when people are ready to come back?
Right.
So
No,
all in to say,
that's fair.
profit is proof that what you're selling or doing is working. It's an output, right? Just like brand and reputation is an output that you're delivering the right experience to the people you serve.
Right. No, that's totally fair. Start with the why, right? Simon Sinek.
Yeah,
He said, start
100%.
with the why.
Start with a why.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What do you love doing, right? Why are you baking cakes? Maybe you love baking cakes, right? I mean, I see this whole notion of, especially in North America, I don't know much about Europe and the market, overall the business market there, but overall my observation, I lived prior in the US and now in Canada the last 7 years. My observation is that there's a lot of notion and the books written basically out of Wall Street. It's kind of like Wall Street taking over the Main Street, right? And more of these notions and all these big CEOs and the VPs are all coming from the financial background, right? The CEO or someone of Boeing doesn't understand airplane technology. He's not an engineer. He understands business, Excel sheet numbers, right? And no surprise, the planes were crashing. I mean,
right?
Right. Because you're a company making planes, make better planes. As simple as that. If you're a company making cakes, make better cakes. As simple as that. And keep making them. That's what it is. If you have a repeatable process to make better cakes, the cakes or planes doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
right?
not about having the person who can squeeze the most money out of it. Because the tighter you squeeze, the more apt it is to crack or to crash. Because it's no longer about the why. It's no longer about the passion. It's about the money. And when you say, Wall Street has come to Main Street.
It's all good.
When you say Wall Street has come to Main Street, I'll talk about the example of so many veterinary clinics have been bought up by conglomerate firms. And so you look at the experience, and I'll contrast it with our vet clinic, is the vet that we chose was based on a referral from a friend of ours who owns the Bowen Island Dog Ranch, which is a fabulous facility driven by passion that is incredibly different. Essentially, we call it fantasy camp for dogs. There's no kennels. The dogs are outside twice a day in a forested environment. They room in either a place called the Lodge, which is rooms. And if they end up having a dog friend that they get along with, they'll often put them together so they have, they're not isolated. And in the barn, they have mini horse stalls. So it's just this completely different experience.
So sweet. Yeah, right.
Sorry, I'm promoting them because they're just such a special place. But we went to her, the dog expert, to say, we want a good vet. We want a vet who is going to tell us the truth, who has a lot of experience. And so we went to see this vet, and the office, I won't say it hasn't been refurbished in years. And, the corners of the counters are worn off, and it's not in shambles by any means, but it is not these clinics that have been done up like a private hospital that have been bought up by these firms. And so the experience is just so very different, but also the cost is very different. We go to our vet who's been doing his job for over 40 years, and he's seen everything. He's done big animals, small animals. And it just happened a couple of weeks ago. Our dog, he was running through the forest and he crashed into a tree because he runs full out, and he did his dog equivalent of his ACL. And in a lot of clinics, they're like, oh, well, he's limping, and maybe we should run an x-ray, and maybe we should run blood tests, and maybe we should do all these things on the checklist of this system to make money. We go into our vet. He's been doing it so long. We put the dog on the table. He asks me to hold him. He closes his eyes and puts his hands on Jack, our dog. He puts his hands on his legs. And he's feeling for inconsistencies. And then he lifts him up, and he moves the one leg, and then he moves the sore leg. And then he does a few more modality, like a physio would, right? And he goes, okay, I can tell you what he's done. It's not good. He's done his dog equivalent of his ACL. He goes, the good news is it's not a full tear. And he knew that simply through moving the dog. And then he followed, here was the kicker. He followed it up with, and please don't ask me to x-ray him. I'm like, I'm not going to, because I trust you. I come here and hand you my dog because I wholeheartedly trust you, because I know you're not in it to make money off of my emotional state. You're in it to treat the animal. And I said, well, why would you ask me that? He goes, because people have come from other clinics who have x-rayed the dog, or I hear about, misdiagnoses and the x-rays have been done. Well, x-rays don't show soft tissue damage. So they're selling things that don't need to be sold because they're trying to make sure that they're making as much profit as possible. So it becomes an ethics question and comes right back to the why. Why do you do what you do?
I never thought of plugging any of this, but like something I observed in my industry in terms of like technology software, we create software, right? We create software consulting. That's what we do. And like several years ago, I was working with a firm. There were about like 78 engineers. I wrote a post about it. I mean, the cost of building that software is probably like 5, or probably with the worst estimation, it's probably $10 million, right?
It's a lot of money.
The cost, probably 2 or 5 or even $10 million at best over a period of a couple of years. They hired 78 people, and I was one of the architects in the project. And they, actually how much they actually priced it for. They priced the project for $250 million. $250 million. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, we are not a non-profit, but that's why we change the whole notion around, okay, we want to go in there and deliver value. That's our website, zardel.com. And like, we want to deliver value. That's all. I didn't mean to plug it, but I just want to bring it back to this conversation because, like, to the same thing with the dog clinic, the vet clinic, right? It's not those like glossy like rooms and all the like marketing that they do with the whole building and stuff. I mean, end of the day, are you spending to treat your customer better? Are you offering a superior service? Are they delighted for the price they're paying? Yes or no? Most likely it is no with some of these businesses, actually, right? Do you care? The answer is probably no. I mean, when the business owner stops caring, it shows. So anything I'm building, I want to be able to build it and scale it, and at the same time, what are the size it grows. But I want to maintain that, like, the whole rhythm of, like, I want to be able to care for the customer, right? If that disappears, like your veterinary doctor, it's gone. It's gone, right? Let's say tomorrow a capitalist, like, I'm not against capitalists or anything, but at the same time, we're here to make money. But let's say tomorrow we corporatize it. And okay, no, let's create a franchise out of it, whole thing. Let's create 10 franchises. It's gone. The real intention that the doctor had, that will disappear.
I'll argue that in a way. If it's not captured, if it's not extracted, that's exactly the SureFire method, right? Let's extract that owner's vision. Let's extract their brilliance. Let's get what makes the team and the way they serve extraordinary into a playbook, into a set of tools that everyone can follow. And that's why some franchises knock it out of the park, because they did the hard work of codifying the brilliance. And it can be duplicated. It can be scaled. But if it's in someone's head, it can't be scaled. And so for you, with Zadwell, is what I'm hearing is one of your values is care about people. Right? And so instilling that in each of your team members to always come back to, who are the people we're serving? What is the difference that we're making for them? And making that difference, whether it be in a simple conversation where we're answering a question about our product or we're helping with a problem they're having, are we delivering care in all of our actions and all of our decisions? Or are we considering how we're delivering care when we're making decisions and building processes?
Right. Yeah. We want to keep the care. We run with the current campaign around it is like deliver value, quote unquote.
Yes.
That we want to deliver value. That's it. Like, no questions asked. Like, if the value is not delivered, don't work with us, right?
Yeah.
So that's all we ask.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that comes back to an interesting thing I heard someone say the other day is that's one of the reasons they said, I remember who it was. It was the founder of the law firm, who is our law firm. We co-host an event with them, a networking event. And he was saying, the kids today, he goes, the kids today, the kids today, they don't want to work at McDonald's. He goes, McDonald's was the best job I ever had. And you know what the lesson is that I bring into this firm is the customer is always right. Even if you made the burger the way they asked, if they say it doesn't taste right, you just give them a new burger. Right? Because why? they're going to go and say to their friends, or maybe you give them an extra. I know Starbucks will often be like, I'm sorry, we messed it up. Let me make you another one. And is there someone that, would also like this, delivering the extra value? Because that's what's going to get people to talk about you in a positive light, which, right back to brand, builds your reputation, and you earned exposure. And they'll probably tell that story 5 times.
Yeah. Absolutely. I brought a quote actually that I found it interesting in terms of like founders' mindset, because we are in the age of like, when everyone talks about AI, sometimes like we all innovate with AI. We have a couple of programs on AI, but sometimes I also like, oh, come on, another AI topic. It has become cliche now, right? I mean, AI, I do use it, but oh yeah, what's the AI hot topic, right? So, but this quote was like, I just want to read the quote to you. Like, the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with yesterday's logic. Peter Drucker said it. And how do you help leaders to let go of like yesterday's logic?
That's hard.
Especially when it's right, because it's constantly changing. With today's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, and of course AI plays a major role in business these days. So that answer is not AI. Do AI for everything, but like if founders are stuck in yesterday's mindset, oh no, still. Yeah, we are good. Like our process works. We are still doing $1 million sales every year. But why are you not doing $2 million sales? You've been in the business for 50 years, right?
Mm-hmm. That's such a hard one, because I think really what that is asking them to not fear change. If you know in the past that thing, I'll use a metaphor. If you know in the past that life jacket saved you from drowning, you're going to reach for that life jacket. And in playing with the metaphor, if that life jacket is 30 years old or it's expired and all of a sudden it's not floating anymore because the fabric or the floaty stuff, for lack of an intelligent term, foam, there we go, floaty stuff, that was good, right? But you're going to reach for the thing that you know, versus trust that someone says, no, you can just use this thing in your hand and press the button and a boat's going to pop out of it. What are you going to trust? The thing that you know worked, or the thing that someone says, no, this is the new? Unless you're in turbulent times, you want to cling to what you trust and what you know. And that's, I think, where the danger lies, is maintaining that growth mindset. Maintaining curiosity, being willing to experiment, putting one hand on the old life jacket and going, okay, well, maybe I'll try the boat. Finding that place where you know that you are putting yourself in a growth mode. Dia Bondi has an excellent book. It's called Ask Like an Auctioneer, and she talks about the term ZOFO, ZOFO, which stands for zone of freaking out. Right? Being willing to step into the zone of freaking out, knowing that the reason it feels so uncomfortable is because you're growing. Like, you just have to, at some point, trust. And that's really hard.
Right.
Especially if you've dropped or fallen before. I'll go right back to mountain biking as an example. It is very hard to teach adults, and especially women, to mountain bike. Because girls don't grow up being exceptionally physical, playing road hockey or riding bikes, or more and more are doing it, but it's not, the boys are just innately more physical, right? So they get hurt, they get bruised, they break things, and then they just keep going because that's the way we treat them in our culture. So if you're afraid of falling, it's hard to trust that if you fall, you're going to get back up. If you fall, you're not necessarily going to break anything. And so for me, I've always been in falling sports. So falling is just something that happens. So my mindset is very different. It's inevitable. One of my friends did say, next year you'll fall less. And that is inevitably true. But now when I fall, it usually hurts a heck of a lot more.
Right. You fall better.
I fall better, but when I miss falling better and getting when I miss doing whatever it is I do in midair and, relaxing, if I tighten up, it's going to hurt a lot more. And it's also going to hurt a lot more because I'm usually going a lot faster than I would have 2 years ago because I know the trail and I'm like, oh, I can rock this. Oh, well, who put that branch there?
Oh, my goodness. I just want to take our conversation to a different segue. In terms of social media, right? Today, build in public. There's a whole notion about building in public, and And 10 years ago, there was not a real pressure. I mean, maybe I'm wrong or maybe I'm right. I don't really know. But 10 years ago, my observation is that there was not real pressure to show up on social media as much, because the founders would probably have like 100 followers or something, but they'll be killing $10 million in sales, right? Today, it's not so the case. You got to show up. I mean, not everyone is building in public, but at the same time, I don't know. I've seen very introverted founders really struggling with some of these stuff, like to show up on social media and to be vulnerable there. And what, like, how do you see that whole the scene of social media playing into the founders' game?
I think it depends on the founder and how they're wired.
Right.
And where they're comfortable. So I'll use myself as the example. I'm very comfortable in this format. I know I'm being videoed, but I'm in dialogue with you. And the comfort is I can see your reaction. The comfort is if I falter, you're likely to step in with a question or ad lib while I, put things back together, so to speak.
Right.
I'm very comfortable on stage because as a figure skater, I was on stage very, very early. I was one of those ones that, at the age of 5 or 6, oh, they're so cute. The little ones are so cute, right? That's just my happy place. Now, where I'm uncomfortable and people have a hard time believing this is actually recording my own videos that I'm going to release, because I get in my head talking to the black box of look, there's the green light. Talking to nobody feels so forced and fake for me. As a woman, I'm always questioning. I mean, if you saw me in my North Van, this is where I live in North Vancouver, you saw me on my day-to-day, and then you saw me going to a client meeting, you might not recognize me because I'm usually in a ball hat and a hoodie and some comfortable pants, right? But my question as a woman and the expectations of us showing up, we can't just throw on a golf shirt and make sure that our hair is not sticking up, right? That's not what's expected of women. So I'm questioning, okay, how much how much transformation do I have to do? The other challenge for me is when my most brilliant ideas that I feel comfortable talking to the green light and saying, hey, entrepreneurs, I really want to share something important with you, is I have to interrupt the desire to record and go get changed.
Right.
And it's more than just throwing on a golf shirt, right? I mean, I'm sorry, guys, I'm picking on you. But as long as it's not wrinkled, or your sweater, for example, it's a little easier. And so there's all these layers that go into it. And then there's the fear of being judged, because women get judged harsher than men. And I hate that that's the case. And I hate that I still have to say it. But it's like, once you put yourself out there, what's going to get thrown back at you? Because I think part of the fear of social media is it's really easy to attack someone who is in a flat format, like a meme or a video. It's really easy to attack a human when you're not standing right in front of them and you're not seeing the hurt and the harm that you cause. And I wish people could just be kinder, but they're not. So social media is hard. Whether you're recording a video, whether you're putting an opinion out there, whether you're coming forward. I know for me, talking about that, I struggle with, and I always have, anxiety. Right? Good job on Belle for having the Let's Talk Day. And that's what prompted me to step in and share, because it's not easy being an entrepreneur. And there's this facade of, we're killing it, it's all great. Well, it's not always great. Yeah. It's so easy, an overnight success. There's no overnight success.
It doesn't exist.
The vulnerability is, it's like taking off your armor. And you have to be willing to take the hits or ignore the hits that are going to come back at you. So I think that, for me, from my experience and from seeing folks around me, that is the hardest thing about social media, is people are just cruel because they feel that they can be, or they're entitled to be, because they're not speaking directly to the human.
Got it. I just had this clip on vulnerability. I had it, kept it. Like, I'll get your feedback on it. Let me play the clip for you.
Yeah.
And get your feedback. If you see Brené Brown.
As soon as you said vulnerability, I'm like, this has got to be a Brené Brown video. Yeah. My favorite thing I've heard her say, and I think it is it's on a video, and I've seen her say it on stage. She goes, I get onto a plane and I sit down and I get in conversation with the person next to me, and we're having this great chat, and they're like, oh, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I study vulnerability and shame. And she said, and it's like, there's an imaginary window that goes up and closes because all of a sudden they don't want to talk about what I'm passionate about. But yeah, it's having the courage, right? And for so many entrepreneurs, it's having the courage to lead.
Yeah. I have one other video I just want to get your feedback on. This is a commencement address given by Jobs in Stanford, I think like several years ago when he was alive. Let me play that. I like the clip, so I brought it.
I love it. No, and I'm laughing because as I was at my younger entrepreneur days, I remember the moment I had hired a coach. He was not inexpensive. I knew he was worth it, but we came to the end of the package, and I think I had hired him for 2 packages at like back to back, working with me for quite a long period of time. And he said, "Okay, Karley, so are you ready to say it?" And I was completely bewildered about what he was talking about. He's like, "Are you ready to say it?" And I'm like, "Say what, Ray?" And he goes, with the most loving sigh ever, because he's Ray Williams. If anybody's looking for an amazing life and business coach, and he also writes for Psychology Today, he's just such a compassionate, understanding, brilliant man. And I say that because just sharing him with the world is such a gift. So he sighs, and I said, "Say what, Ray?" And he said, "I am an intuit." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Are you ready to trust your intuition? Are you ready to say, I am an intuit?" And my stomach tied in knots. And you know that, like, you kind of feel like you're going to vomit feeling, because I was like, now I need to say my truth. And he's right. And so many of us, I mean, all of us have strong intuition, but so many of us don't trust it. And for the work that I do, my intuition is a big piece of what guides me and helps me put things together for clients, and having the courage to go, "You've been saying this, but hold on a minute. There's these 2 things you keep talking about." In the back of my head, sometimes it's like, "Karley, this is going to sound crazy, but you have to trust it. Okay, you keep hearing you say these 2 things. Tell me why they matter. Tell me why." And then the client goes, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that it's so close to me." So coming back to the Ray story, he's like, "Are you ready to say it?" And I was like, he goes, "Well, you can just spend another $15,000 to work with me so I can get you to say it."
Right.
And what did I do?
Right.
"Yeah, okay, Ray, I'm an intuit." Right? Like, what's the alternate? But it's such a point of intuition is such a strong thing. But coming back to the Jobs piece is there's so many opinions, and everybody has an opinion, even if they're not an expert. You know, think about going to the doctor's think about the poor doctors, where they're like, "And this is what your diagnosis is." And if it's something that someone doesn't want to hear, they'll be like, "Well, but Google told me this." Everybody has an opinion. So standing your ground in your own courage, willing to be vulnerable and willing to trust your intuition, if you can do those 3 things and you're an entrepreneur and you can practice them and build that muscle, so to speak, build that habit, life's going to be way easier for you.
Got it. Are there any like books coming to your top of your head, like when you mention intuition and things like that? Were there any books that led you to concrete certain ideas? I mean, to come with the what is the right word? Conviction, I guess. So, are there any books that you would recommend anyone?
Nothing's coming through on intuition, but one of the best books I've read about building habits is Atomic Habits, and 2,
great book.
Book that was just felt like the book I'd always wanted to have written, and I'm looking for the title. It's just like my treasured books to my right here, and there's about maybe 10 of them there, and I go back to, and it's called Peak Performance, and it's written by, I believe, one is a business coach or an expert in building businesses, and the other one is an athletic coach. And so very much about when I was saying lessons from the trail, if you want to know how to apply athletic practices, read that book.
Got it. What does the peak performance sound so familiar? Atomic Habits, of course, 100%. Like who's the author again?
Is Brad Stulberg and Steve Magnus.
Brad Stulberg. Okay.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal book.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I want to do a next a different session. It's called an AI section. I'm going to prompt you with a question. The only request from you is like present as something. You can make a request. We will draw it. The AI will draw it for you, and we'll have a question around it.
Okay.
Just a simple drawing game. It's more about like we will draw an image of whatever your request, and we'll have a question around it. Like draw me whatever, and AI will try and draw it for us. Let's see what it comes up with. Sometimes it comes up with some nice stuff. Sometimes not. It's dry still.
Draw me a mountain biker at high speed on a single track trail.
Speed on single track. Okay, got it. Is that all? Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're good.
It's good. Okay.
What do you want to bet?
Let's see what.
What do you want to bet? Is it going to be a guy or a gal?
Probably a guy, but we just asked for a. Yeah, there you go. This one, I don't know. I mean, please, no offense. I couldn't tell.
I can't either. Yeah. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I give it credit because it could be she, he, or they. So
Yeah.
well done. Well done, Grok.
Good job. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Well, actually, go back. That's a dude. Go back. You know what? They look like they have hips. So, anyways. Well, let's go back to it. Let's play this because I'm going to play this out. I've seen a friend that they're related. So, say, please tell me if the picture on the right, on the left is male or female.
I have no idea. So, let Grok do its thing. Grok, based on the visible features such as clothing and body shape, it is not possible to definitely determine the gender of the mountain biker in the picture on the left. That's what it says.
Okay, kudos to Grok, because no, and the reason I'm doing this is because a speaker I greatly admire, and so I watched some of her stuff. So she feels like she's close in my network. I do follow her on LinkedIn. She said, what did she request? It was based on all that you know about. This was with ChatGPT. Based on all that you know about me, create what you believe my profile picture would look like. For anybody who wants to check it out, because I'm promoting she's such an amazing speaker. Her name's Casey Brown, and she's about my height, so she's probably about 5'3". She's redhead, long hair, mid-40s. The profile picture that ChatGPT returned was approximately, I don't know, I couldn't tell you the age, but it was a male. He was balding. He was overweight. Just, she was like, what? And then so she writes, where I'm gone with you is where I was going to go. If it said both of them were male, I was going to say, so why did you assume that we wanted male mountain? Why did you make them the mountain bikers male? And she said, so why did you make me male? And ChatGPT replies, well, because you said you were a business owner, I assume that you were a man.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Absolutely. I think from the technology, I mean, this how I understood when ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini gives these like crazy may not be a right word. When it gives results like this that are questionable, here's my understanding, because predominantly, like take New York Times or Wall Street Journal or Hollywood or any of these stories, articles, written blogs, whatever, right? For the last, internet is what, like how, like 30 years old, 25, not to 2025, it's probably 30 years old, right? So for the last 30, 35 years, whatever it could basically grasp out of the internet, that's what it got. That's the narrative, like probably 80, 90, okay, mountain bikers, I mean, we discussed it, probably 80%, I don't know the percentage, Karley, but like, I assume, let's say 70% male. I don't know. I don't really know, but I think
and it's changed. But you would. I think if you averaged, from when mountain biking took off, it would probably be close. Now I tend to see that it's about 50-50. But for the history, it's been on.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's learning. I think maybe probably in the next 10 years, it's going to mature, and it's not going to make a judgment based just on the information, because new information is coming and people are questioning it, and it becomes like sometimes it gets political. And no, how can you say that? No, I never said that. I never meant that. Like it gets into a never-ending loop of thing. But technology, it's technology that is not the problem. It's actually what is being fed to the technology is the problem.
100%.
That's how I see it.
And who's feeding
Yeah.
it? That's
exactly.
the scary thing right now, I think.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Coming back to our AI conversation, the question that comes to my mind when I see these mountain bikers are like, how much of like brand and business ties up to the nature? How much are we inspired from nature to bring it back to either building a brand or building a business? How much of that inspiration comes from nature? I think that's a question that comes to my mind.
I mean, for me, if I'm stuck and I'm, nutting on a problem in this box in my office, if I'm finding myself stuck, I'll often go for a mountain bike ride or a trail run, or I'll go out for, if I don't have enough time, I'll take the dog out for a walk. And I call that lifting the ceiling or raising the roof, because I feel like there's only so much space in here for me to explore. But when I get into that open space and I walk away from, that tight little problem that I'm working on in front of me, it's amazing what the brain will do. I don't remember the percentage we're at now, but the capacity of the brain that we actually use is so minimal. What other magic's going on back here? So for me, a lot of what I do is inspired by nature and being in nature and giving my being, my brain, my soul, the space. I can't even imagine how people do it who live in highly populated areas in highly dense cities that don't have nature. I
feel the same way.
That would be such a cool study. I wonder if it's been done.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know. I saw which headquarters there was. It was like really big, but there was a forest in the center of the headquarters. I don't know if it's Apple or Google, but like there was a big like forest or park kind of a thing.
Oh, cool.
We see the New York Central Park, right? There's a Central Park just around the Big Apple, the whole the New York, right? So I mean, I think importance to nature has always been there. But I told my wife many times, like I just couldn't live in the big cities anymore. I'm not like I'm not afraid to go there. I can go to Vancouver, I can go to Toronto, New York, no problem. But at the same time, I don't just like living there. Maybe I'm getting too old. Like I'm 40 years old right now.
Well,
I couldn't live there.
The other interesting piece for me about that is that we cannot escape the laws of nature, and yet humans keep trying to escape them, to disrespect them, to see if we can break through them. And, we have broken the sound barrier. So there are things that are possible, but the consequences of pushing those barriers are huge. My feeling is that COVID was Mother Nature going, okay, you're not listening, right? And so forced us into a state of isolation. And then we stopped listening again really early on. So it morphed and people got like, we just kept getting hammered with this repeated message of, are you going to get it?
Right.
Like, hello. Yeah. And I've learned that again, I always come back to sport. I can only go so fast around a corner because there are laws of nature. And either if I go too high, I'm going to get flung off. If I go too slow, I'm going to fall off. We can't defy the laws of nature.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And in my observation, I could be wrong, but if you're in a big city, people are always in a hurry. There is a rush hour. You're always hurried. I mean, I see, my observation, I could be wrong, but I see that it could also be the economic pressure, the financial pressure. Okay, the rents are higher. The mortgage rates are higher, right? The costs are higher to dine out, right? So the overall costs are higher. And you're obviously expected to do a lot more. You're doing 10x. Okay, let's do 20x, right? So you have to keep pushing. Oh, enough is never a word, right? So it's a bad word in the big cities, right? Oh, it's enough, right? No, it's a bad word. You have to keep pushing the limits. Yeah, people couldn't stop and ask, hey, good morning, how are you? I mean, I could never see that. I used to live in GTA in the Toronto. Yeah, people were always like, I used to go to the Union Station. Sometimes I used to drive. Sometimes I used to take the train, right? And especially when I'm on the road, like I couldn't see a single happy face going towards
No.
the downtown.
I used to do my cycling training, and we'd start our rides in the morning in Oakville because that's where my coach was. And
Right.
we would be riding down the street and we'd hit the main street as we were kind of coming around our loop. And my coach is just like one of the happiest people in the world I've ever met. And he'd always say, "Good morning" to people as we were riding. And people would just literally jump out of their skin and drop their coffee or not know what to say, because communication is a lost art. It's like, does nobody say this anymore?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning or hello.
What a strange thing to say in the morning, right?
Right? Shocking. But it's so true. It's the same experience, right? Like, people are just so always trying to maximize everything. And I mean, admittedly, I do the same thing in my work, and I'm now using AI to hack some of my workflow processes. So it takes the pressure off of me, but it also amplifies my impact and accelerates what I do. But if I don't go out and let my body slow down, I know things like adrenal fatigue or some sort of dis-ease in my body will happen, and disease will happen. If I'm sitting too long, my back goes out on me. My body, and that's my body. That's nature going, "Hey, hello, no, you're pushing too hard."
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Big cities or small cities, I prefer the latter. So sorry,
Me too.
but I would still go there. Maybe take a couple pictures of the skyline. I like that, but I would want to come back to the small town. So
yeah. No, it's
that's
all
me.
good. I mean, if I could turn if my laptop wasn't hooked up to all my monitors, I could turn and show you I'm literally at the foot of the mountains outside of Vancouver. So yes.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, like, if you want to do it, go ahead. But like,
Oh no, I'll end up spilling things and detaching things. But yeah, I mean,
you can send a picture later. I'll say it. Oh, got it. I just want to get into this section. Before we get into this section, Karley, after we are done, we are getting close to our finishing. Like, based on your current bandwidth, it might take a few minutes to upload your section because it's recording in high quality. Based on your bandwidth, it might take 20-30 minutes to upload. So I'm just saying, it's leave the tab open. It'll take 20-30 minutes.
Don't close the window.
Yeah, you can. After we are done, you can still leave the thing, but it'll take 20-30 minutes just to upload based on your current bandwidth and speed and whatnot. Just want to let you know, because what happens when I close the podcast. Hey, yeah, thanks for talking, and it's gone. Like, I'm gone, and like the next day I discover, it's still not uploaded, right? So just a heads up. Sorry about that. It's a technical thing that the internet is trying to figure out. I don't know what to do about it either. Anyway, so this section is called the rapid fire questions. It'll be a short phrase or answer, however you want to play it. It's all good. Okay. So, question that I had for you: clarity or creativity? Which comes first for the founder? Or the business owner?
For the business owner.
Clarity.
I mean, would I try to? But I think creativity comes first. How are we going to solve the problem? The clarity comes from solving the problem. And how did we do it?
Got it. If there was one book every business leader should read, I know you mentioned Atomic Habits and Peak Performance. Is there any other book that every business leader should read?
The Widest Net by Pamela Slim.
Widest Net by Pamela Slim. Okay, perfect. What is more powerful, a great idea or like a clear, defined system?
That's a hard one. I'm going to go with a great idea.
Got it. What do you consider the most underrated leadership quality?
Can you see me smirking? Delegation. The other one that came to mind was humility.
Got it. Of course. Yeah. I see extremely talented people. This is a combination I love. Extremely talented people, but extremely humble. It's a rare combination. I love those people, actually. It's very rare. I mean, like, yeah. I have few people in my circle who are like that. They never talk about the stuff they do. They say underdogs and so many other words, but like, they're extremely talented, but are like super humble. Love them. Great people. Biggest misconception people have about brand strategy. What is that? Maybe if you want to go for a long answer, go for it.
No. I think what I will say is that brand is not strategy, and that brand is only your logo, your identity, your messaging, and your story. That it's the paint job, not a part of the engine that drives things forward.
If someone wants to meet with Karley Cunningham, Are you like a coffee or a tea person? Just getting to know you a little bit.
Coffee.
You are a coffee or
Coffee
tea?
if it's before 11, and I don't drink tea. Never appealed to me.
Got it. What is one lesson that you learned the hard way? If there was one thing, I learned a lot from this thing. Go for it if you want to mention a couple, but like if there was one lesson that you learned the hard way that you think people will find it like.
You can't take your foot off the gas when it comes to business development. You always have to be visible.
Keep making the calls, keep sending the emails, keep doing the
Stay in touch
outreach.
with people. Without question, that was the hardest lesson I ever learned. If anybody's curious on it, it's I recorded a talk for, I don't know how you feel about swearing, so I'll call it F up nights. But the name of the company is actually the full word without the little asterisks where the U goes. I recorded a talk on that exact topic. And I knew better. And I almost tanked my company because I got too confident and too wrapped up in the business work, and I wasn't working on the business and nurturing my network.
Got it. I mean, if I can ask a follow-up question, the question is like, how important are follow-ups? Because I get different answers about follow-ups, actually.
Follow-ups are key and critical. And the thing I hear most from people is, oh, I don't want to bug them. I mean, I think that's a Canadian thing too, is, well, I don't want to bug them. I don't, no, people get busy. And I know there have been people where I've even gotten into okay, I'm being ridiculous. Like I'm following up.
Right.
The most common thing I get from folks when we re-engage, or if they do re-engage, is,
right,
thank you so much for being persistent. Right? I got busy. Something happened. There's a host of things that go on in people's lives that we have no view into. But follow up. I did it today, and I said to my question, and here's a one that might make it easier for people, is I'm in the process of ready to present a proposal to a client, and we were moving rapidly. He was always responding really quickly. I sent him an email on Tuesday, said, here's a time on Thursday, here's a time on Friday, and just following the cadence, and he dropped off completely. And so I didn't email him today. I WhatsApped him this morning and said, just checking in because I haven't heard from you. It's out of character for you not to respond quickly. So my first question is everything okay? Are you okay? And he's like, yep, I just happened to be on another continent. So, he was prepping for the trip and traveling, and I wasn't aware of that. So that's why it was out of pattern. And he responded right away, and we booked a meeting.
Got it. I mean, if people are looking to learn, people are looking to learn the social media game, people are looking to learn the founder game, are there one or two founders that you really feel inspired about, that people should go and follow them? Hey, just go follow this guy. Like, is there a person or that quickly comes to your mind when you think about it?
I should know that this people should be top of mind. Maybe it's because I was at Web Summit and I met so many new people. Founders, no, nobody's coming to mind. What comes to mind is being engaged with the founders around you and learning from them. Right? Who's your scaffolding? Who's your support network? And whose support network are you a part of?
Got it. So what makes Karley most alive? Whether when you're deep inside work or when you're deep outside work in the nature?
Both.
Which brings you more alive? I think I thought so. I thought that would be the answer.
It's an infinite loop for me. It's an infinite loop for me, which is really cool. I mean, what a gift.
Yeah. If you want to talk about big, bold brand in a single line, how would you define it?
Innovative and disruptive.
Got it. Karley, that kind of brings us to the close.
Amazing.
If you want to tell viewers, like, where can people find you? Where is the best place to reach you?
My home's on LinkedIn. It's where I hang out. It's where I spend my time. That's where you'll find me.
Got it. Karley, thank you so much for this engaging conversation. I really enjoyed, actually. I really learned a lot about mountain biking. I'm not a biker, but I learned a lot. We were able to draw some cool images, although it wasn't perfect, but it tried. But I learned a lot about a lot of things and what you're doing. Shout out to Big Bold Brand, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I think you have amazing creativity that you can see that and when you're explaining stuff, and you're constantly shooting ideas back and forth, right? So you're an amazing person. It was so good sitting down and chatting with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being an amazing host.
Good.